humanity. Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
And welcome to Talking Politics this Friday, June 7th, the day after the Normandy invasion of France by U.S. troops, known as D-Day, which changed the course of World War II 80 years ago. It is one of the wars that the U.S. won that gives its citizens the rights they enjoy today. And let's go on. I am your host, Robert Press. I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my press card from New York City. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and the Parkchester Times, the latter, like this show, part of Muslim Media Corporation. I have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com and Facebook pages 100% and What Is Going On in Your Community Board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or any commentator whose comments you may see scroll across the bottom of the line of the screen here, and not necessarily those of Muslim Media Corporation. Let's go to the weather after a rainy Thursday. It will be nice and hot today with a temperature of 83 under sunny skies, and it will be very less humid than yesterday. Saturday will get up to 80 under the sun. Sunday, there could be a chance of rain, light showers with a high of 79, and Monday it'll get up back to 80 with cloudy skies, and you'll see the 80 degrees all week long. On to politics, though. Just days after the Biden administration granted permission for Ukraine to fire weapons into Russia, Kiev took advantage of its new latitude, striking a military facility over the border in Russia using U.S.-made artillery system they received. Senator Robert Melendez, who is in trouble with the federal government of New Jersey, a lifelong Democrat who is in his fourth week of a federal bribery trial, filed paperwork yesterday to run for re-election as an independent candidate in November for the Senate seat in New Jersey. As far as Donald Trump is going, the New York City Police Department is preparing to revoke his license to carry a gun after he was convicted of 34 felonies. But Trump could seek a hearing challenging the revocation since he is no longer a resident of New York. He is a resident of Florida. And prosecutors oppose the termination of a gag order preventing Donald Trump from going on the attack against trial participants, saying that for reasons requesting it in preventing actual harm to the integrity of the historic proceedings has not abated. The gag order has been upheld at least until the sentencing of Donald Trump on July 11th. On Tuesday, Governor Hochul joined other lawmakers from federal and state governments in Washington to hear President Joe Biden announce his administration will bar migrants who enter the country illegally from receiving asylum. The ban won't apply to unaccompanied children and would most likely go in place immediately. Senior Biden officials said it would be in effect so long as the border encounters a daily average of 1,500 people. Biden's announcement follows recent announcements of executive actions that would speed up asylum decisions and increase law enforcement at the border. Former President Trump, blamed by many for sabotaging bipartisan border negotiations, drew Biden's ire during the announcement. He didn't want to fix the issue, said Biden. He wanted to use it to attack me. New York City Mayor Eric Adams was notably absent as Biden announced the new border policies. Adams told reporters, including myself, who attended his Tuesday media availability, that he supported any actions that slowed the flow of migrants into the country and wasn't affected by the lack of an invitation. I do not have to raise my hand and say, please invite me, sir. Trust me, I have too much to do on my calendar, Adams said. You should be asking, why can't I come to Eric Adams events, Mr. President? In New York City, accommodating migrants remains a hot-button issue. The Adams administration imposed a 60-day limit for families and began evictions of migrants from shelters. However, Adams has criticized Biden's handling of the border, specifically the lack of aid given to New York as it copes with a regular influx of asylum seekers, and he isn't alone. Biden said there is more work to do in spite of his recent executive actions, and he chided Republicans for not helping him. On to the best news of the week. Governor Kathy Hochul has done an about-face on congestion pricing. Citing concerns over the financial recovery of New York City, Governor Kathy Hochul announced Wednesday an indefinite pause of the city's congestion pricing program, which was set to take effect June 30th. She did not immediately address how the state would replace the estimated $1 billion in additional revenue that the plan was meant to provide for the MTA. It could be made up from licenses fees from casinos or from the part of the 40% of revenues that casinos get from the state gets from casinos that could go to the MTA. And the state currently has about $20 billion in reserves that the governor could dip into. She recently used $500 million of that intended reserves to bolster migrant aid to New York City. The governor also recently floated the prospect of increasing the MTA payroll tax on New York City businesses, which would require legislative approval. The payroll tax was most recently increased as part of last year's state budget in order to fill an MTA budget gap. In a pre-recorded message, Hochul said that circumstances have changed since lawmakers first approved congestion pricing 5 years ago. After careful consideration, I have come to the difficult decision that implementing congestion pricing system risks too many unintended consequences for New Yorkers at this time. The city is still recovering from the pandemic. We cannot afford to undercut this momentum, and I won't allow this delicate recovery to be jeopardized, she said. The politics of congestion pricing, Hochul's abrupt decision to delay the start of the congestion pricing was reportedly driven by concerns that the policy could hurt Democratic chances in November in the suburbs. The congestion pricing plan was deeply unpopular in the suburbs of Long Island and Westchester County, where Democrats are trying to win back seats or protect their House seats that they lost or want to gain since 2022. If congestion pricing goes beyond November, though, it would have to go back to step one with the federal government getting approval. So it's unlikely that, so it's likely to end right after the November elections. On Wednesday morning, New York City Mayor Eric Adams told reporters he was concerned about the potential impact of congestion pricing on the city's financial health, though he did not say he supported a delay. We have to make sure that it's not a dual burden on everyday New Yorkers. We have to make sure that it's not going to impact our recovery, the mayor said. The mayor has largely distanced himself from the tolling plan. He told the lawmakers in February he would like to see changes to the program. Criticism and praise for Hochul. Until recently, Hochul was fully on board with the scheduled implementation of congestion pricing, and her about-face was panned by a wide variety of groups and individuals in business and transportation and environmental spheres, as well as many elected officials in New York. There is no path to a replacement for congestion pricing as we see it now. Danny Perlstein, Policy and Communications Director for New York City Riders Alliance, said there is no plan B. Julie Teague, Executive Director of the League of Conservation Voters, said in a statement that she was shocked and dismayed by the governor's decision. Catherine Wild, CEO of the pro-business group Partnership for New York, called Hochul's decision disappointing. Some Democratic critics of congestion pricing praised Hochul's decision. A delay is good. I'd like to see an elimination or a repeal, but certainly this is not the right time, said Queens Assembly member David Weprin, who a frequent critic of the tolling scheme. He said he would support alternative streams for the MTA, like the payroll tax, and cracking down on fare evaders. Hudson Valley Rep. Pat Ryan, who is facing a potential tough re-election, took credit for Hochul's reversal. Since day one, I fought alongside countless Hudson Valley families against this unfair, uninformed, and unacceptable congestion pricing plan, Ryan said. Today, I'm proud to say we stopped congestion pricing in its tracks. Some legal experts, though, say that Hochul may not have the authority to halt the tolls that were passed by the legislature in 2019. The measure passed in the state budget said the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, which is part of the MTA, shall establish the Central Business District Tolling Program, referring to the congestion pricing program. Hochul has asked the MTA board to vote to halt the program. The 23-member board is supposed to be an independent body, but its voting members are appointed by the governor. The MTA board is scheduled to meet on June 24th, 6 days before congestion pricing was supposed to go into effect. Roughly 4 years ago, Mondaire Jones and Jamal Bowman made history together. They were young, left-leaning Democrats that won hard-fought primaries in neighboring districts to become the first black men ever to represent New York's Westchester County in Congress. Now they find themselves deeply at odds over the Israel-Hamas war. It was the latest sign of how the intensity of the conflict in the Middle East has come to divide the Democratic politics this election year. Jones said in an interview that he could not sit by while Bowman positioned himself as a leading critic of Israel, saying that his former ally has sown pain and anxiety among Jewish New Yorkers and has torn at the fabric of our community and civil rights coalition. Jones said that several comments and moves by Bowman over the past few months drove him to this point, including Bowman's denial of sexual assault and most recently, the New York Democratic Socialist of America endorsement. But Jones also may be considering his own self-political interest after losing his House seat in 2022. He is now running to unseat Republican Representative Mike Lawler in a swing district just to the north of Bowman's district. Creating some distance from Mr. Bowman may help him win over Jewish voters as well as moderate voters. It's critically important we rebuke the extremists that some would try to take over the Democratic Party. Left-wing support for New York 17 congressional hopeful Mondaire Jones is progressively shrinking after his endorsement of Westchester County Executive George Latimer in the race for the 16th congressional seat against Jamal Bowman. It seems that the Working Families Party has withdrawn its support of candidate Jones. Now, why the Working Families Party is involved in the Democratic Party, I don't know. And before I go to the commercial, I have two last items. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says, "You're in luck, New York City," which is a new effort to expand New Yorkers' access to public restrooms across 5 boroughs. Over the next 5 years, the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation will build 46 new restrooms and renovate 36 existing restrooms, according to New York City's nearly 1,000 existing public restrooms. Once the restrooms are complete, there will be 10 in the Bronx, 23 in Brooklyn, 28 in Manhattan, 14 in Queens, and 7 on Staten Island. The 36 existing restrooms being renovated will receive improvements ranging from additional stalls to accessibility upgrades as well as energy-efficient features. And I hope that the playground in Community Board 11, which is set to be fixed, is in there as one of those 36. Or Mayor Adams, you'll see me at the press conference asking you why it's not. Now, part of making New York City a more livable city is tackling the little things, the things we don't think about until we need them, said Mayor Adams. Access to public restrooms is high on that risk, and our new Google Map layer will make it easy to find relief when you've got to go. The Google Map layer, which will be updated biannually, will include restrooms operated by New York City Parks, DOT, the MTA, and the city's privately owned public spaces. All 3 of the city library systems, New York, Brooklyn, and Queens public libraries. The city also has created a series of advertisements available online, which will run on Link NYC kiosks and on TV taxis from June to September, and help guide New Yorkers on how to access this resource. Data on the city's public restrooms will be available on open data using one consistent, reliable, and updated data for the city's restrooms. Last month, the New York City Parks Department completed its expansion of new baby changing tables to all public restrooms in city parks where feasible, more than 3 years ahead of the schedule. New York City Parks has opened 7 new restrooms for the public in the past 5 months at Bronx Point and Mill Park. Let's start that over. Bronx Point / Mill Pond Park and Starlight Park in the Bronx, Wyckoff Heights Park in Brooklyn, Frederick Johnson Playground and Highbridge Park Adventure Playground in Manhattan, Masbeth Park in Queens, and Lopez Playground in Staten Island. So you're in luck, New York City, if you have to go. Quickly, before I go to my commercial, former Assemblywoman LaToya Joyner has made a surprise announcement that when she left the private sector, and it was unclear where she would wind up. She has now landed a job at Montefiore Medical Center, making her the latest in a series of Bronx politicians to go to work for the borough's healthcare giant. First, it was Assembly member and former Bronx Democratic Party Chair Marcos Crespo. Then it was the former Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz. Now it is LaToya Joyner, who will be who has landed a job as chair of she was the chair of the Assembly Labor's Commission. And yes, I see the producer is telling me let's go to a commercial. So as I said, former Assemblywoman LaToya Joyner has joined the Montefiore staff. So let's go to a commercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official launch of the Bronx Post, your premier source for news and information in the Bronx. As the CEO of Muslim Media Corporation, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Bronx Post, our latest endeavor dedicated to serving the vibrant and diverse community of the Bronx.
Oftentimes, mainstream media portray this county in the most negative way possible, all because Bronx continued to be judged in the 70s and 80s when Bronx was burning. Today, as we enter the Small Business Month of 2024, Muslim Media Corporation is proud to announce the formation and the creation and establishment of a new newspaper that will cover the entire Bronx, continue to highlight the new Bronx, the new realities and the new developments and the new attributes of the Bronx. Some things that are not being covered by, again, our mainstream media. Bronx Post, the first county-wide newspaper to be published by Muslim Media Corporation that has already been publishing Parkchester Times.
We aim to be your trusted source for information. We believe in the power of journalism to inform, inspire, and unite communities. With the Bronx Post, we seek to amplify the voice of Bronxites, celebrate the richness of our culture, and shed light on the issues that impact our lives.
Changing Bronx deserves a changing narrative. And the Bronx Post, which will be launched in May in commemoration of Small Business Month, will highlight that which Bronxites have been yearning for mainstream media to highlight. So, to all my fellow New Yorkers, particularly my fellow Bronxites, join us, patronize us, read us, and follow us, so that you will be extremely proud of the addition of news reporting that highlights the new realities of the Bronx.
Together, let's make the Bronx Post the heartbeat of our borough.
The Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Thank you, and you'll be seeing the Bronx Post very soon. I believe my guest, Mr. Gene DeFrancis, is here with me. Gene, are you here?
I'm here, Bob.
Okay, Gene is the founder of the Allerton International Merchants Association. So, Gene, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Allerton International Merchants Association, why you founded it, and who they are?
Sure. So, why we founded it? I started a theater company back in 2011 in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, where we had a whole bunch of issues that we were getting more involved. The artists in that area were getting more involved civically, and we were looking to form a merchants association there. Born and raised in the Allerton section of the Bronx, led me to ask, where's the merchants association in our area? And we got a bunch of residents together, and we formed it in 2012. We're existed 12 years now. We're a nonprofit, and we bridge the relationship between residents and the business owners and handle quality of life issues and community events.
Now, you and I were both at a Community Board 11 transportation meeting on Monday night.
Right.
And the issue that came up is that the city DOT wants to put a bike lane at the curb from where it's currently at on Burke Avenue, I believe, down to Pelham Parkway North.
Yeah.
And both you and I spoke against it, and the district manager of Community Board 12 was there because currently the bike lane goes from Burke Avenue up to the Mount Vernon city line, and that's in Community Board 12. He was saying what a disaster it has been for Community Board 12. He would like it out. Now, you and I both had different complaints. I said, well, what about the street dining at the curb? And I was told, well, people will be sitting in the middle of the street eating where the parking will be, which right. I can't see happening. What were some of your oppositions to that?
We don't have many of the sidewalk dining anymore. We have one restaurant off to the side on Bronxwood Avenue that still has the outdoor shelter, whatever you want to call it. Otherwise, all of our outdoor shelters have been dismantled and taken in. At first, when I heard about the bike path, I thought they were carving out a section of the sidewalk, which they just recently built out. So there's not going to be any division between pedestrians and traveling bikes. We've been complaining about bikes, bicycles, mopeds, electric vehicles, riding on the sidewalk for about 4 years. How long has this program been in existence now? It's been a hazard. People stepping out of stores, almost getting run over by these electric scooters and bicycles. So we've really tried to encourage all vehicles to be on the street, unless they're little children, of course, riding their bicycle very slowly. But delivery, passengers, any other vehicle really belongs in the street. So we're not against bike lanes per se. White Plains Road you need to detract as much traffic at that location as possible. On any given day between rush hour, we'll have about 300 to 500 people coming off that train station. And that's a rough estimate because we didn't actually do a real count. But it's a lot of people coming off that train between 5 and 7 o'clock at night. I could only imagine during the day as people come into work to have bicycles or mopeds or electric scooters shooting past them at the same time. That's just poor planning. We have Bronxwood Avenue. That's mostly residential. It connects Pelham Parkway to Gun Hill Road and beyond. And really, that's more suitable of a location for a bike lane. And truth be told, the restaurants need double parking. They need a place where they can hop out for 5 minutes, pick something up. The Uber drivers, the local neighbors on their way to get in, get out. We don't have many. I'd be curious to see how many 311 complaints we do have of double parked cars. We never received any. Not saying that they don't exist. They can be frustrating. But we've received more complaints about bicycles and mopeds on the sidewalks, which they're trying to encourage now. As
you were talking about, it's a bus bulb at Allerton Avenue where the bikes will just go right over it, and they're going to have ramps to go up this bus bulb and then ramps to go down it. And people will have to be either in front of them or behind them, or if you're in their way, it's going to be crazy. And when I asked about Southern Boulevard, which has such a program, there was no answer by DOT.
No, and they really don't. And they don't answer to the community, and they didn't get any community feedback. They walk into some of these businesses in spurts during their rush hour when they're trying to conduct business. It's not, if they went to the Merchants Association, we could have communicated to all 200 of our members and had a real dialogue, and they could have expressed it. Plus, whenever a city agency walks into some of these establishments, it's yes, okay, thank you. Please leave my store as quickly as possible so I can continue to make money. They're really intrusive on some of these visits, and it's not part of their day-to-day thought. And that's what they know we handle. We handle the city agencies and try to bridge that communication, not try to take them out of the picture, but let them focus on their business, and we can focus on these distractions because they're coming one at a time, fast and furious. And I'll give you one example. You were mentioning the bump outs, the bus bulbs. That's an example where a lot of people in our community were against it. Anytime the city recommends something, most of our residents say, no way, stop it. But we stepped back and we took a real look at it, and I said, no, this is a healthy idea because it's unsafe for people to wait for the bus. And we support the bus bulbs at the other locations. especially at local schools where it shortens the crosswalk path. It is really a smart idea and a healthy idea. It's the bike lanes and the added traffic onto the sidewalk that we're going to be a firm no, and we're going to do whatever we can to stop that program. If it means Bronx Park East gets a bike lane and Bronxwood Avenue gets a bike lane, that's 2 locations instead of the one really poor, because those stanchions, they'll block vision for every single person that tries to walk through it. It's just not a good idea. And Community Board 12 has said so with experience. So,
and it seems that, Gene, it seems that when I asked, are you planning to go all the way down White Plains Road to Soundview? Again, they didn't want to say anything because it looks like they're doing it in parts. The next part would be from Pelham Parkway, probably down to Bronxwood, again, under the subway. The trestle or the elevated railroad ends at Bronxwood where it opens up White Plains Road. So from Bronxdale down, it would be no problem, but under the elevated subway is a big problem, as you say. And it could have just gone up Bronxwood and connected to the bike lane that they have right now that they're proposing.
Right.
So,
and we have the school on Bronxwood Avenue. We have Columbus High School. 135 is not too far away. Also PS 89. We have the church. There is a need for additional traffic ideas, and it's safe. It's wide open. It's more residential, so the small businesses won't suffer, and it won't take any parking away.
Right. And the problem, though, below Pelham Parkway, there are only a few ways to get up north. You have Eastchester Road, which has a proposed bike lane, which will be in front of the police station and the hospital with the emergency entrance and the ambulance entrance and exits. You have Williamsbridge Road, which is a small road. Again, there's no way, unless you take away parking, to put a bike lane in. The third one is White Plains Road, which is business. And the last one is Bronxdale Avenue that goes north. So there's only 4 ways to go north from down by Morris Park Avenue. Right. So
you're not talking just roads. You're talking streets and avenues, which are all different. You know, these roads are they're one step below the highway in some of these areas.
I see Gene is out for a moment. Hopefully he'll come back. I was going to ask him about the new stores on Allerton Avenue. He just opened up a store, Triple Chocolate, on Allerton Avenue. And I was going to ask him how that store is doing. And later today, Gene and I will be at another new store, but it's on Morris Park Avenue. I was going to ask Gene a little bit about that since he knows more about it than I do. And he invited me to go there. It's 2 p.m., 745 Morris Park Avenue. I forgot the name of the store. It is a restaurant. It is a beautiful restaurant that will be opening up it's right 1 block off of White Plains Road and Morris Park Avenue on Morris Park Avenue. So I see, well, Gene has not come back. So let me just try and wind down the show and say to you that, let me just go back for a moment to the Montefiore Hospital program. Oh, I see Gene is back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
All right. I want to ask you about the new stores on Allerton Avenue. We know that Triple Chocolate opened up. I was talking a little bit about the restaurant we're going to at 2 p.m. So would you talk about the new stores and that new restaurant on Morris Park Avenue?
The new restaurant, I'm going to check it out at 2 o'clock.
Right. I'll be there with you. We'll be there separately.
And we have a great relationship with the Yemeni community. We have a lot of other, we have some other restaurants that are in talks right now of coming out. And it's great because we really want to put the international back in Allerton and in our name. That's intentionally why.
I want to cut down. Kevin made a comment on here about curbside dining in Manhattan. Well, Kevin, the Bronx is not Manhattan. Yeah. We don't have wide one-way streets to have bike lanes to be on one side so we could have. Kevin, this is not Manhattan, okay?
Especially the East Bronx. The East Bronx is the last portion of the Bronx to be included into the borough. This was actually more associated with the Westchester culture, which is why we're a little bit more connected to Westchester than to the city, and have more low density. And it's just the families that have been here for generations, they're going to fight to protect their homes. We have a lot of new homeowners that are first generation minorities, Pakistani, Yemeni, West Indian, Latino that just came in. bought a home, have a little piece of land that they can call their own, and now the city is trying to tell them that they're land hoarding and they have no right to do it. Well, we're going to fight and defend them, because the businesses and the residents, they go hand in hand to make up this community. But to go back to the restaurants, Triple Chocolate sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, because a lot of people were really concerned about shopping on Allerton, to be blunt. Allerton is safe. We have a lot of issues going on in certain pockets that the local precinct, 49 precinct, is taking care of. We've been frustrated with some of the priorities that the city has taken. Hopefully they can go back to listening to the community, because there was a time where Allerton didn't have gates closed. The windows were open, the doors were open, neighbors knew each other, and hopefully we get back to that golden era.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show, Gene. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future in a different situation. I don't want to get we'll have him on probably for the Trump-Biden presidential election, but I don't want to get into that right now as he's smiling. And let me just say thank you for watching. Thank you, Kevin, for your comment. AJ, where were you? We missed you today. And thank you for watching.
Hi, I am Dustin Pickering from Parrot Literary Corner. You know me, your noble and honest host, and I've got exciting news for you. Last anthology, Series 1, The Literary Parrot, did such a great job. We want to continue to provide this community service to our viewers and to our contributors to the program. So please get up and get a copy immediately. You know, if you're in this book, you want to get a copy. If you're not in the book, you want to get a copy and see what we're doing. You want to be excited with us. We want you on this program, and we hope to see you sometime soon on The Literary Parrot. You have to get your hands on this copy. It's amazing. It's an absolutely beautiful anthology meant just for you. Our past guests have been invited back to contribute yet again to this Series 2. We do this quarterly anthology. We will be doing this after our 200 episode milestone. As of this last quarter, we reached 200 episodes, and past that, get up and get a copy immediately. This is the only TV show on earth for creative writers, and our guests are amazing. They're also community activists building from the ground up. This program is for everybody out there who is a creative mind. Order several copies if you can, and donate to local libraries. Give them to your friends, cousins, fans, supporters, anybody that you think loves poetry. And it's not just poetry in this book. Remember, this is creative mind. So we have prose, fiction, short stories, essays, artwork, anything you can think of, artistically creative, photographs. Everything in this book is packed. It is packed. It is just absolutely packed. If you want to get your hands on it now.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the website they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our news site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.